29 universities in Nigeria. 79 of them are public institutions, while the rest are private. What are the challenges of university education in Nigeria, and how does government identify and address them? University education is the focus of this week's edition of the program. Hello there, glad to have you join us on Dateline Abuja. I'm Gloria Umezuke. Now, a lot has been said about the scale of damage the education sector has undergone, but how deep is this and what is being done about this challenge? Well, according to the National Policy on Education, the provision of the much-needed manpower to accelerate the growth and development of the economy is the main relevance of university education in Nigeria. Again, how has Nigerian universities lived up to this objective? Well, my guest is the Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission. Before that, the federal government is taking steps to explain the selection process for the presidential scholarship scheme. Well, for many of those who doubted this, watch. This is the second edition of the presidential scholarship scheme, but this is the first time it has generated much criticism. The scheme came under fire over the procedure for selection. Some members of the House of Representatives raised concern over the selection process of the successful candidates, which they say is based on federal character and not on merit.
This is a laudable program and there's need for us to support it. Not each time you will never say anything good in Nigeria. You never say anything good in the government. People try to sabotage the program by telling us to bring in federal character principle. We are saying, look, we have scholarship for federal character. But this is a special initiative by Mr. President to say how do we encourage the best in this country to go out and have their PhDs and come back and contribute toward the development of this nation.
The chairman of the Implementation Committee and Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, Professor Julius Okojie, however, argued that one of the states that did not benefit was Bayelsa.
There's no controversy on merit. Is there anything wrong with that? In the university system, they say scholarship is, if you want to take a graduate assistant, whether the two of your friends say more than you made the first, they will take you. We don't discriminate in the university system. What I know about merit, it has no other explanation.
2,000 candidates applied for the scheme, but only 623 candidates sat for the screening of the edition. Successful candidates of the scheme were asked to apply to study in any of the top 25 universities in the world approved for the scheme, and 104 candidates scaled the final hurdle.
I'm grateful to the President for making this kind of forum possible, because if he didn't base it on merit, if federal character came in, some of us wouldn't have been that lucky.
The candidates had applied for selected programs in engineering, technology, sciences, basic medical sciences, medicine and economics, among other fields, where the country might be experiencing shortfalls. Now, let's understand some of the problems eating deep into the nation's education sector. Well, I spoke with the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Universities Commission, Professor Julius Okojie, who joins me now. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Gloria.
Now, let's begin with the carrying capacities of most universities right now. You are in charge of overseeing what's happening there, and this is a major crisis, so to speak. What are you doing about this? Because we understand now that federal universities are not exhausting their carrying capacities, despite the large number of applications they have every year. So, what really is this whole thing about?
Isn't that interesting? When there are too many students struggling for a few places, and you say they can't exhaust their carrying capacity, then it calls for question. That's
the point exactly. Why is it like that?
There's no country in the world that we provide enough spaces for all those who are desirous of university education. Even if it was possible, it's not even advisable. Because you want people in the middle career structure, that's how they have community colleges in the US. There are polytechnics and other college education in Nigeria, so that we are not all in the same stream. Well, Britain also had that not too long ago. They converted all their polytechnic to college education, to universities. Recently, we were talking about the dichotomy between HND and university education. A committee has just submitted a report now. About 4 years ago, the idea was to harvest the polytechnics that mature in terms of number of PhD holders and programs that we can convert to universities. We had finished the job with Yaba College of Technology and Kaduna Polytechnic. But that document is still on my table. We were wondering, because there was a purpose for setting up those polytechnics. We don't want to defeat that. However, let me come to the question of this carrying capacity. Of the more than 1.7 million students who are struggling for about 500,000 places in the university for university education, I think that a lot of them too are not qualified ab initio. You're not qualified to even sit for that exam. For instance, you must have your required entry to university before you sit for such exams. You find a student, when they fill their form, they say they are waiting results. So we just blow up that figure. And you find a lot of students who apply for courses they know they cannot qualify for. They also have direct admission from Polytechnic College of Education. People who are originally in the teaching line want to change mid-career to somewhere else. We've had all those sort of problems in the system. But more importantly, there are 13 disciplines in the Nigerian university system. And ranging from law, which is a single program faculty, to a place like education, where you have so many programs in education. Education, kinetics, education, that and that. And you find that universities have introduced pre-degree programs, and some are doing diploma programs. They are not entry requirements for the university. But what they do, because they have that moral obligation to those students who come in for 1 year, most vice chancellors keep places for those students, even when they have students who have scored higher than those students in the system. But what they think is that because they have spent 1 year in the university system, they are more attuned to the university environment, which is unfair. So when you give them the quota, they will tell you, we haven't filled the quota. In the final analysis, the students they are keeping those places from the diploma courses that are not approved and the pre-degree, which is unfair. Now, we talk of cut-off point. The national cut-off point average is minimum is 180. A lot of students make more than that. But universities also they have at liberty to determine their own cut-off point based on the number of students that apply to that particular institution. Ibadan, for example, if you apply to the Faculty of Medicine, you may find about 10,000 students applying to medicine, and they are going to take only 180. So the competition is very, very keen. We also have a problem with what I call the JAM regulation. Some universities have their catchment area just in their immediate environment. ABU, Lori, Oka. Some other universities have the nation as their catchment area, which means that students also have to worry where they apply to. You see, if you're from Edo State and you apply to a place like Oka, you will miss out on the merit, you will miss out on the catchment area. It's almost 70% already. You may not be in the educationally disadvantaged states, you will miss out on that. So where are you going to get admission? So these are issues. But first of all, what determines the carrying capacity is at 2 levels. You want to know what facilities and human personnel that they have can support a given number of students, not based on the programs. We expect that when we say Ibadan has 7,000 carrying capacity, that's the total number of students in the various programs that Ibadan can take. But we also have discovered that in some institutions, the way they allocate that figure, 7,000, to faculties is not based on any merit. They are looking for the program that are demand-driven, something like what I call it, economics, accounting, or something.
Medicine.
Medicine already has, on its own, medicine and law. We have professional, that between us and the professional bodies, we have fixed their quota. But But for others, we expect the university to regulate the quota based on the number of student facilities they have.
So how successful are you when you carry out this
we put pressure
monitoring?
on them. We put pressure on them. You know, admission is for a long period. We put pressure on them. But for instance, you cannot drop a student on the merit list. It's very difficult. Then by the time they come to the catchment area and what is have you, that's where the funny things come.
Well, now you say you put pressure on them.
Yes.
I don't think you're successful because for a while this has been going on.
Yes. If we say we are trying to prevent armed robbery, it doesn't mean that armed robbery will not take place any place. Because you can't possibly police 129 universities. I don't have any staff sitting on it. I rely on the integrity of the vice chancellors and the staff of the institution. Senate is a very powerful organ. What we do here is a lot of counseling too, and we try to apply punitive measure by ensuring that you don't take students the next session around.
What sort of punitive?
If you violate our regulation, we can either deaccredit our program or we stop you from taking new students in.
How many universities have you done this?
Many universities. We have even cancelled a program in Ilori. Law just went. And University of Technology, Owerri, we cancelled the whole program completely and dissuaded the students. We do it regularly. You recall that we had 7 private universities